Did you know that the first E3 was in 1995 and was held in the Los Angeles Convention Center, and only 3 E3s have been held elsewhere? The Georgia World Congress Center twice, and in 2007, the Santa Monica Airport. You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For all the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode number 84. Now, this is a very special episode because this is the start of our 4 days covering E3, and today we're covering the Summer Game Festival, which happened today, straight after on the, what's the date today? It's the 10th of June. My name's Gareth. I'm going to be your host, and on my virtual left is Mr. James Burks. How you doing, James?
Not too bad. Happy to be here, as always.
Good. That's what I like. It'd be terrible if you were really sad to be here. Just forced.
I know.
I'm
blinking. If anyone can see me, I'm blinking twice. Please send help.
It's tied to a radiator in Xbox Hub Towers. Yeah. And on my virtual right is Mr. Richard Dobson. How you doing, Richard?
Hello. I'm okay. It's nearly my bedtime, but we'll be all right.
Yeah. And on my virtual straight in front of me, opposite, is Mr. William Caruana. How you doing, William?
I'm not doing bad. I'm doing all right.
William, as we always say, is all the way from Toronto. So what time is it there, William?
It's only 4:00 here, so it's pretty early.
I'm just warning the listeners, I've had my second COVID injection and I'm quite poorly. So if I suddenly drop off, don't worry. It'll be fine. James will take over in a neat and interesting way. If I sound delirious... Yes. So we're here because this is the first one thing, and we're gonna cover in this episode the Summer of Gaming, which we've all just watched, literally finished about 15 minutes ago, and we're going to go through some of the stuff that was announced then, and we're going to talk a little bit in a minute about Battlefield, the new one that's just been announced yesterday, and then we're going to do a couple of our E3 predictions at the end for this week. But this is our first show. We're coming back on Saturday, the 12th, is that right? And then for the Ubisoft, Sunday the 13th, for the Xbox and Bethesda, and then we're going to come back on the 15th to cover the Nintendo and all the other E3 stuff and a kind of roundup. So quite a busy time for us. And you're going to get a mixture of all of us, apart from me. You'll have me and James. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We just can't.
Yeah, it's part of our contract.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into the Battlefield game that was announced. What's it called? Battlefield 2049? Have I made that up?
2042, I think.
42. That makes more sense. Now, I'm just gonna leave it over to you two. We haven't seen a game. We saw a trailer, but not a kind of gameplay trailer. I think that's coming on the 13th. But the things that we do know is that on the Xbox, it's coming to cross generation, but on Xbox One and PS4, it's going to be big maps and up to 64 people, and I think on the PC and the new consoles, it's going to be 128 people in a map. But the biggest news for you to chat about now, it's no campaign, no battle royale. And Richard, what do you think about it? Are you excited about this? Were you surprised by this?
I'll start by saying I've never played a Battlefield game before. But I watched this trailer yesterday when it first came out, and I was really quite impressed by it. I think what we saw I'm guessing these shots of like these different parts of the world are going to be the maps, and these huge maps, based on landscapes and set in the not too distant future, really. But yeah, I thought it looked really, really good. I was impressed by it, to say that I've never ever touched a Battlefield game before. I really do want to know a bit more about it.
Yeah, okay, well, that's good. James, what about you? What's your thoughts? Because you've played Battlefield. We've played it together, haven't we? Played Battlefield 4.
Yeah, and that put me off quite a bit. It's not my favourite kind of game, Battlefield. It's a bit too slow. But I do quite enjoy the campaigns.
Mm.
So I'm disappointed not to have, a bit of an immersive story, to go into.
Yeah.
So I guess most people that play those games, the shooting games, not really interested these days, are they? They just want to get in there, kill some people, and respawn. So good luck to them. I won't be there.
William, your thoughts on Battlefield? You excited? Are you a Battlefield person? I don't think you are. I got this feeling you aren't.
I'm not a huge Battlefield person. I've played a couple of them. I like the campaigns. I think I'll have to see the gameplay for this, but I'm not necessarily feeling this right now because it's going to be multiplayer only, and possibly, it's going to sell for $70 or $90 here. That's a pretty big ask for just multiplayer mode, especially because you don't necessarily know how long these things are going to stay online, how long the servers will be up, and how over monetized it's going to be. Because when you're paying $70 for just the multiplayer mode, then it should be fairly monetized, because Halo is going to have not just a campaign this year, but a full free-to-play suite. Call of Duty is probably going to have a campaign and a multiplayer. So if you're going to charge $70 and then put in loot boxes or very highly priced microtransactions, I think that could be a big mistake. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I think you're absolutely. I'm with you on this. I think it was very interesting that Call of Duty they did when they had the year when they didn't have the campaign and they just had a battle royale mode and some multiplayer stuff. It was very interesting that the next year Warzone almost was like the sequel to that, but it became free to play and they carried on with their normal stuff. I mean, for me, this is hard because I think all four of us are on the same page. Maybe Richard not so much, but I really like playing the campaign and the multiplayer. I'll have a few goes at, maybe get a couple of things to have a bit of a laugh at, and then a month down the line it would become too hard for us to go near because everyone would be killing us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whether that would tempt me to pay, like William just said, £17 here for that game, it would be hard. It would be hard for me to justify that.
There is
Game Pass.
If it was on
Game Pass.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I think, because for some of the stuff that came out yesterday, they also said there was going to be battle passes to do with it, a free one and a paid for one. And then the game is initially only launching with 7 maps. So I do think that it's going to be integrated into Game Pass or EA Play somehow, because I just don't think they can justify it any other way.
Right.
Oh, only 7 maps?
Yeah.
And paid microtransactions. Ouch. I'll put it this way. I have faith in the team in DICE. They're a very good team. I actually have a couple online friends who work with DICE, so, I don't want to speak ill of them. I think they're a great team. I just think it's going to be a big ask in the current market. Now, I believe there will be a 10-hour free trial through EA Play at least. They tend to do those.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's not the full game on Game Pass, if you play 10 hours and you're like, wow, this is really good, this has hooked me, then that could go one way. But
and I think DICE have, they've come out and they said we do multiplayer. That's what we do well. We don't do the other stuff that well, and that's why we've concentrated on this. That they're talking about these maps being the biggest maps ever. Which could be great, but it could be just walking around a lot.
It's a risk.
Yeah, it's an interesting. Yeah, sorry, James.
You could say they're rolling the dice.
Oh,
Success.
Wow.
It's very good, isn't it? It's very good. I'm going to move us on now. After that, how can you top
That's me
that?
done now.
That's you done.
Finish the podcast now. It can't be topped.
It can't be, yeah. Summer of Gaming. We just watched an hour and a half, hour and 40-minute show. And there were some. What we're going to do is we're going to go through in a kind of order. We're not going to do everything. We're just going to go through the kind of the things I've highlighted, and you three can chip in if I've missed something you want to talk about. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So the first big announcement was a new game from the Borderlands team from Gearbox, and it had a trailer it was almost like a piss take of the Elden Ring trailer from the first one, and it's called Wonderlands, and it's Tiny Tina Wonderlands from the Borderlands world, and it's a standalone game rather than a kind of like a sub game. It's coming early 2022. It's got some cast members, isn't it? Let me see.
Andy Samberg.
Yeah.
Wanda Sykes.
Yes.
Ashley Birch and
Will
Arnett.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Batman.
Yes. I mean, we didn't see any gameplay, did we? Did we or not? I can't remember. I think it was
No.
No, it was just a cinematic.
Who's a Borderlands fan here?
Me?
Oh, there you go, James. So you excited?
Like
what do you think?
Yeah, I think Tiny Tina is probably one of the most exciting characters in the series, so it's good to see her getting a bit of a spin-off. And apparently it's inspired by I think it was Borderlands 2, the Dungeons and Dragons style DLC, called Assault on Dragon Keep. I think it's inspired by that.
Have you played that?
Yeah, I think I did. I don't remember it very well now.
Right.
It can't have been that good. But yeah, I'm happy to see Tiny Tina getting a bit in the spotlight. It's a great cast. I mean, I love the cast.
Yeah, I mean they do their voiceovers. People do it. They do it really well. They're always really strong, and the writing is always really strong. I mean I really like the Tales from the Borderland, which was the world, but it was a different group. It's Telltale, wasn't it? I thought that was really good. That was my favourite one from that world. Anyone else excited? You, Richard?
I'm not a massive Borderlands fan.
There we go.
But I only ever played the first one and was really disappointed by it. But I thought Borderlands 3 looked great, and I think this one looks good from what we've seen. So I'm keen to see more, but I'm not sold just yet.
Yeah. Spell castings, William. Does that get you into the world?
So yeah, it looks fun. You know, I'm not huge into Borderlands. My cousin really likes it. That said, it might be something I need to go back into and really give the full attention it deserves. But that said, Borderlands, as weird as this sounds, it's always been a good game to pick up a little bit later for me. It usually goes on sale a couple months to a year after, and it's a sort of one-size-fits-all game that I can play with most people. You know, it's not too difficult or too high a skill gap, like, say, a Call of Duty, maybe. It's co-op, so you aren't necessarily against people. It's a first-person shooter, but it's a pretty accessible one. So, yeah, I mean, I think Borderlands is a good series to pick up. Just have something on hand that most everyone is willing to play. So, and this looks to be similar to that. The whole fantasy idea is pretty interesting. I like Ashley Birch, so I'll give it a look.
Yeah, it's going to be, you know, a new game for, you know, the start of next year. It could be quite good. I mean, I don't know. It's like I did the last game. It drove me a bit mad. I thought, what am I doing this for? I mean, I was playing with Neil and James. It was hard work.
I was going to say, I don't think the game drove you mad. I think it was being Neil.
Yeah, I think it was. I couldn't do it anymore.
Looking for loot crates.
Oh God. Yeah. Now, next up, I'm going to move us through. Now, these are my little highlights. Kojima came on, the developer of Death Stranding, Metal Gear Solid. And now, let me just say, first of all, I don't know about you lot, just overall on this whole summer of gaming thing, I liked it. It was the maddest thing I think I've seen. There was who was the band who was on?
Weezer.
Weezer. They did something. There was a song which I quite liked, and then there was the Sonic the Hedgehog Prague Orchestra doing the best from Sonic the Hedgehog. That was the weirdest thing, because all those people looked really depressed. I could see in their faces thinking, what am I doing? I was doing Tchaikovsky last week.
In fairness, they were playing from Sonic Unleashed, which is one of the weaker ones out there, so I can't blame them. They're like, okay, let's get through it.
What I love about it as well is they're all dressed up still, like the Royal Albert Hall. It's great. But yeah, so this was Kojima came on, and they had a sort of chat, and Kojima sort of like had a deep chat about creating work and what that might look like after the pandemic. And he was comparing it to 9/11 and the kind of work that came out after that. And it was very funny seeing, is it Jeff Knightley's sort of like response to it? He was still trying to keep it quite upbeat. It was the weirdest thing. I loved it. But then he showed at the end, he said one more thing. Because they said he's not, he said, I'm not making it, I haven't got anything to share, but there's one more thing. And the one more thing is there was a kind of like, Death Stranding was there, and it did a little, what's the word, homage to Metal Gear at the same time with the character getting a box. That seemed to go on for about 10 minutes. We got the joke when they got the box. It went on for ages. But director's cut of Death Stranding is coming out on the PS5, and that'll be announced what date that will be very soon. I can imagine maybe that might be this year or something. I mean, I love Death Stranding. I've talked about it on the podcast before. I thought it was a great game. Can I just say to me one thing before I put it over to, because Richard's played it, haven't you, Richard?
Yeah.
Why is there a director's cut? When you have a director's cut of a film, and William can correct me if I'm wrong here, when you have a director's cut, it's normally the director's cut is when they've taken it away from the studio and done their own version. It's his studio.
Is that the one that Joss Whedon did a bit of directing on?
Yes.
You
took over for a bit. Got to get it off Joss Whedon. Yeah. So it's not
bizarre.
With some director's cuts, there are things that they didn't necessarily get to put in due to pacing. They felt it wasn't working, but they still want to have a version of that. Or, ones like the Snyder Cut where they weren't allowed to put everything in due to restrictions. So maybe budgetary here. Not that I think. I think they gave Kojima a ton of money for this game, so I don't see many budgetary restrictions.
I mean, he did what he wanted from this game. I mean, it is his vision. I mean, it's a mad game.
The first and probably only Strand type game.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great. I loved it. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed myself with that game. That was my COVID game. So yeah, I was even tempted. I don't know about you, Richard, of playing it again.
I mean, that was the only point I was going to make. It was like, why is there a director's cut for a game that come out from a studio named after the guy himself? I don't understand what he could have possibly not put in it, because he should have had complete creative control over it anyway.
Yeah.
It just seemed weird that it was. I mean, obviously it's going to be like it's DLC basically.
Yeah.
But the fact that they've called it a director's cut just leads me to. Like you just mentioned, it's like he's had to cut some stuff from it, but surely he shouldn't have had to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I'll admit, I thought it was hysterical. And the reason why is, I don't know if you've been following the rumors, but Jeff Grubb, who has a very, very, very good track record, said Kojima is making his next game with Xbox. He's in deep talks with them. It's with the lawyers. They just need to finalize this. And so everyone's heard this, and the PlayStation fans were not too happy about the idea. They might be doing that. And the Xbox fans really want Kojima. And so the PlayStation Studios logo pops up, and it's Sam Porter Bridges, or whatever the heck his name is, Norman Reedus. And automatically the Discord blows up, and they're like, no, he's not working with Xbox. Yes, PlayStation 1 and Death Stranding 2, etc. And they're going nuts. And then finally at the end, it's revealed that it's just the director's cut, and for better or worse, we're still going to have this will they, won't they, where will he end up for his next game. And so automatically the conversation shifted from that to saying, Kojima, man, I love you. Oranges are shipped in crates. They aren't shipped in boxes. And they're going on about the oranges in the boxes.
I know. Have you played it? Have you played it, William? Death Stranding.
Yeah, I have it on my PC, so
Right.
you might be hearing a slight fan noise in the background. That's my PC.
Okay.
It sends the fan into overdrive, but it's a pretty fun game.
Do it on PS5. That'd be good to do on that
Oh,
one.
cool.
Now I'm going to move on because we've got a lot to get through. Jeff Goldblum was next in this mad thing. It's like Noel's house party. It's Jeff Goldblum.
You want to explain that to William?
Sorry, William. It's this sort of Saturday night light entertainment show with lots of guests appearing in the house. Jeff Goldblum came on and he announced Jurassic World Evolution 2. And that's all I've got to say about that. But we do know it's coming out in 2021. And I never played the first one, which is the Sim game. Anyone played it here?
Yeah.
I did. I got 2 games with gold, I think. It's Zoo Tycoon with dinos. I liked it.
No. And James, you've played it as well, haven't you?
Yeah, it's got a lot of depth to it.
Good.
Mixing all the different genes of the dinosaurs and that. I played for hours.
Did you?
It's very addictive.
Wow.
I definitely recommend it.
I'm good. Will you get?
Or just wait for that one.
Just wait for that one.
I don't know what more they can do with it, to be honest. I don't know why.
No, I don't know what else they could do. But it's coming out. People will be very excited about it. And the next we had a game that I'm very excited about, so that's why I've highlighted it. You lot might not be. And it had a lovely song by a group called Japanese Breakfast, and I've got the name of the singer. I liked her a lot. And it's a game called Sable, which is an indie game that's been doing the rounds and people have been liking it. But it's this beautiful kind of like open world anime. It reminds me a little bit of No Man's Sky in a strange way. It's a bit Breath of the Wild as well. And it's got a date. It's coming September the 23rd this year, which is great. And I think it's coming to Game Pass.
Exclusive.
Sorry, William, what did you say?
Xbox exclusive. Yeah, and I think Game Pass.
Yeah, which is really exciting. I think it looks great. You two, Richard, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, and I think every time there's an event that it's showcased at, me and you seem to be on the following podcast, and the more I see of it, the more I'm looking forward to it as well. I think it's going to be a really, really interesting game. The art style is really unique and really draws you in.
And I think there's no kind of combat. I think it's just exploration from what I've kind of read about it, which for me, being how terrible I am at combat or any kind of gaming, it's perfect. James, what about you?
It looks very nice, but I switched off at this point. I'm not here for the music. I've never understood why we've got to have music in one of gaming reveals, but here we go.
Well, it's the Noel Edmonds house party of gaming events.
I'd rather see Mr. Blobby, and I hate him.
How can anyone hate Mr. Blobby?
I wouldn't have been surprised if Mr. Blobby came on. I wouldn't have blinked, I don't think, in this one.
He's had Kermit the Frog on, so I guess he's the next one.
Yeah, that's Swedish chef. Yeah.
Now, I've skipped a few things here. There's a couple of RPGs from Amazon Games announced. And do you want to talk about those, you lot? Is that of interest to you?
Not really.
MMOs? If you want to go.
They're MMOs that exist. Hopefully Amazon can get the game out that reviews well and sells well. And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
to say there.
Yeah. Sultan Sacrifice, that's my next one, which is a follow-up from the Sultan Sanctuary. It's like a 2D Souls game that did very well. And they've got Yoshida, head of India PlayStation. It's coming out in 2022. If you like those games, I think it looks impressive. I had a go at Sultan Sanctuary. It's very hard. It has that kind of Dark Souls feel to it. Mm-hmm. But this is in co-op, which is quite exciting. I don't know if the last one was in co-op. But that's quite interesting. I quite like the idea of doing that in co-op, to share the pain. You lot, anyone
carried?
Yeah, get carried through it more.
Yeah, exactly. That's coming 2022. Anyone excited about that?
It looked interesting.
Yeah.
I think some of the enemy designs were pretty grotesque, which I like the look of.
Yeah. But no one's biting the bit here. That's fine. That's good. Solar Ash coming to PlayStation. It's meant to be coming in July, but as Jeff said, it's coming this year. He repeated it twice. That means they haven't got a date. It's being pushed back. I like the look of this. I think I was the only one who liked the look of it when we talked about it last summer. It looks like a nice world. It's like a mixture of kind of like, it reminded me a little bit of Shadow of the Colossus a little bit as well. Kind of we saw this main character kind of jump around this kind of very colourful world and then get onto this huge bird-like creature and kind of have to take down some points and destroy it. We didn't know much about it, but it looks quite interesting. Anyone excited about this?
I didn't know what was going on in that trailer, I'll be honest.
This is the same conversation we had last year.
Maybe it's just one game that I won't grasp the concept of.
I feel like I'm the only one who could see the beauty in it. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, that style's quite cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not really invested.
No.
Because it's PlayStation exclusive.
Yes.
And I just can't play it.
What about you, William?
Nothing's really gripped me with it so far, but I don't know. I could like it.
I'm just going to really go into briefly. There was a 2-second clip from Valorant. Have I said that right? Valorant?
Yeah. Yeah, they just showed 2 seconds.
2 seconds of something. What was it, a helmet?
2 seconds of some robot helmet thing.
As I said, it was the maddest thing I've ever seen this show. That's we're going to know more in the next few days, aren't we?
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave this one over to you lot, because I know you lot are going to be excited about it. We talked about this last week on the podcast. 2 Point Campus.
Yes.
James, first of all, you played 2 Point Hospital.
I did, and this looks like a nice little spin on the idea. Basically a university campus, and there's some. I noticed there's some nights. So there's some night school. I think there's a clown school in there as well. It looks to retain the same kind of humour. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
I've not played any of these games, so I don't know. I've not played 2 Point Hospital, so it's a sim game, isn't it? It's like you're building up
like Team Hospital.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
Similar.
yeah, like the old Bullfrog games. Yeah.
Hang on.
No, go on. Sorry, you excited about it?
Yeah, I was going to say, because you end up doing so many different aspects of the management. So you've got to keep your staff happy, and obviously in this case the students. It comes up with some wacky concepts that until you see it, you just won't believe it. Like some really weird hybrid comedy gold. So I would definitely recommend at least trying to a hospital to get an idea of what to expect. It's so silly. There's so much.
It does look good fun. I like the kind of in the trailer at the end, the kind of like scientists had this giant robot and just suddenly turned evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I just got it. Just look. William, have you played 2 Point? You interested in this?
Yeah, I've played 2 Point Hospital. It's a fun game. I don't think I played a ton of it just because I ended up busy having to review something. But what I did play with it, I had a good time with, and this looks cut from the same cloth. You know. I will say I think a campus is actually a pretty new take on these simulation genres. You know, of course, there was Steam Hospital and other ones for hospitals. So I think this is a really unique idea. And yeah, it looks funny. It looks fun.
That's good. Now, Richard, I'm moving on to another game, the Anchorus. Have I said that right? The Anchorus, which is coming to Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, yeah.
I've written down here Zombie Army. In space.
Yeah, it looked like a budget Left 4 Dead or a Zombie Army sort of game. There was one very generic enemy type just filling the screen. With characters that looked like they were from Deathloop, the arcade
Yeah, I
game
was
coming
about to
out.
say. It looks like Deathloop meets Prey meets Left 4 Dead, but not as exciting as that combination.
Yeah, I wasn't completely sold on it either. It sounded all right, but then when we saw that trailer, I was just like, oh, another game.
It didn't.
Like, that's the sort of game that I think you need to play to get a feel for, because just from the surface level, it's not doing anything to grip me. It looks budget and kind of generic, but it could be really special if you play it. That's my hope. I mean, the idea at Xbox team are smart. They saw something in this, so I'm sure we'll see.
Yeah.
It did look weird that there was only one type of enemy.
Yeah.
I was looking. There was definitely only one, wasn't there? I couldn't see anything else.
Like, they didn't have a boss, did they? At the end, like with these trailers, like a huge creature. There didn't seem to be one that appeared.
Yeah, they did, because they ran about calling it a brute or something.
Yes,
a bigger one.
Yeah, that's right.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
But then we saw later on, Back for Blood, which just looked a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
Doing a very similar thing.
Do you know what I got from this whole thing that I was slightly annoyed about, and I won't reveal the big ending we've got, but it was so multiplayer heavy, and it was so four-player co-op heavy. I just looked at most of these games, and I've gone, so many games that these games are going to die. You know, they're not. It's just too many of them, and it kind of makes me think they're just kind of making these games because they've seen you know, Friday the 13th, or they've seen, you know, four-player games like even just multiplayers like Fortnite, where they've seen, you know, this type of game and think we've got to do one like that, and they're not maybe they're not as tricky to do. It did feel really heavy, this one. My only fear was, I hope the rest of E3 doesn't reveal a load of the games in a similar manner.
It was the whole middle bit of the kickoff show. It was just like, oh, we've got new skins for this. There's a new pack coming out for this thing, or there's a new season in Call of Duty. And I just thought it was so heavy on these games as a service thing that I'm really, really not interested in anything like that.
No,
at all.
No. But James, you're you're more of a multiplayer person than a single player, aren't you? So maybe this is good.
There's no point doing co-op for the sake of it.
Right.
I mean, we've noticed with It Takes Two, when co-op's done right, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
We've played other games. Even, is it Vermintide?
Yeah.
We've played that in co-op, and it just isn't fun. I mean, this seems like co-op for the sake of co-op. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm glad this is...
So go on, William.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm glad this is going into Game Pass. That's going to help it. But now is not the year to be doing a 4-player co-op game. You've got Back 4 Blood. You've got Warhammer 40k Darktide. You've got Halo Infinite, which is 2-player local, 4-player online. You've got Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. You've got Call of Duty. Like, you've got so many co-op games that are coming out this year that you really run the risk of being cannibalized in this at the best of times.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't have anything to stand out.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing unique about the exclusives.
I love co-op. I love co-op. I love I love multiplayer, but you have to be careful because, for better or worse, a single-player game released today still has the exact same value to a player 5, 7, 8 years from now, at least on paper, in the sense that it's not going to be taken offline unless it's something that's always online. You know, it's something you can always enjoy. If these games die within a few months, they aren't coming back.
No.
And that's the real problem with these. Like, Bleeding Edge was a really fun game, and that died after a year.
Yeah. Do you think Blood Hunt is going to survive the multiplayer Supernatural game?
Yeah, the Battle Royale one.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know why. Maybe we'll be wrong. That just doesn't feel like.
I think it's.
It's got. So go on, Richard.
So I was just going to say, I think it's an interesting thing what they're doing with this franchise. They seem to be spinning it out to all sorts of different genres.
Yeah.
But if you're not a fan of that series as it is, I don't think there's anything in there to tempt you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Warhammer. Anybody and everybody can get a World of Darkness license, and you just have to hope that they're the right fit. Yeah.
Moving on, we saw. I'm just going to mention it briefly because it's got a date on it. The next Dark Pictures anthology game, House of Ashes, which we've known about. There was a kind of extended little trailer about that. Do you know what? I've just played the second one. When that first game came out, I went and did the press preview thing on that ship for the graphics looked amazing at that point. They don't look so good now. I found out with the second one. Don't know what it is. But anyway, so this new one's coming out on the 22nd of October. It was good. I have a good time with that. Richard, you reviewed the last one, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of anything that Supermassive put out since I played Until Dawn, which was sort of like a precursor to these. So I'm looking forward to that one. I think the anthology games are good, especially when you do. I know we've just been on about co-op games, but I like playing those. It's a local multiplayer game where you sort of pass the control.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that whole system of that is fantastic, I think.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah.
But it's not necessary as well. You could play it solo quite happily still.
Yeah. Now I've put down a game. Next one, I've put down Brilliant, Brilliant, Brilliant. What do you think I'm talking about? James?
Is it the new skins in Overwatch 2?
Close.
Planet of Lana.
Planet of Lana, yeah. There's a trailer for this game, Planet of Lana, and you just saw a little. It's kind of like a 2D, almost platformer.
Yes.
Brilliant little trailer. This kind of like teenage girl and this little kind of dog-like creature, and all these kind of rockets in the background fall onto Earth. It's really, and then does show the kind of little clip of them kind of interacting with this world. Beautiful music. I love this straight away. And it's coming 2022 and it's Xbox only, it looks like, doesn't it? And PC.
It does.
Yeah.
It's as good, isn't it?
It could be the next story if the gameplay is there. Like it, at least on a aesthetic level, I think it's just about as impressive as Ori. It looks so good. So good.
Yeah.
And apparently it was at Gamescom 2 years ago. This has flown completely under my radar. So, yeah, this looks great.
Yeah. Good. A couple of other ones. Endless Dungeon, which was a squad-based shooter. It looks all right. I mean, I don't think anyone's that excited about that. There's a mention here. I have to mention this. If you look back on it, Deviation Games, and Deviation Games is it's a new studio set up, and these people have worked on Call of Duty games, and they came out and said, "We haven't got anything to show yet because they've just set themselves up, but they're basically aligned with PlayStation." Now, William, you might not get this, you probably will, but it reminded me of a Dragon's Den pitch. I thought they were doing a Dragon's Den pitch, and any minute ago we're looking for £400,000 for an investment of 10%. It was. They were sweating. One of them was laughing insanely. Yeah, it was very weird.
Dragon's Den is huge here, so we've got our own. So yeah,
it was weird, wasn't it? It was very weird, very funny.
One question I've got for you, William. So when these guys first started talking, the first one said, "Oh, we've been working in games for donkey's years," and I tweeted out saying, "How well does the term donkey's years translate?" And Cade from the Xbox Hub team was like, he had to Google what this term meant. So I was just wondering if you'd ever heard this term before.
Nope.
There you go.
Never heard this term.
Yeah.
No,
they've lost that. They've lost the audience straight away.
Yeah, it was like the first sentence he said. It was like, "Yeah, we've been working in games for donkey's years," and I was like, "Do people understand this term?"
Yeah, it's a really weird thing, isn't it? This kind of coming on, going, "We haven't got anything to show yet." but we're together.
Yeah.
And their biggest announcement was that they're working with PlayStation Studios, and that was fine. But that felt like kind of a weird, and it felt like a kind of weird announcement for this game show, which was meant to be, what's the word? It was meant to be, it's for everyone, isn't it? It's cross generation, so it doesn't feel. It felt that would be a good announcement for a PlayStation thing rather than this.
And the funniest part in all this is last year Xbox got in so much crud for sitting back showing, okay, here's some of the stuff later down the line. We've got a CG trailer, all this, but apparently all you need to do at PlayStation is just say, we hired these guys to make a game in 5 years, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
But, like, we have no idea what the heck they're making. We don't know what it looks like. They have unlimited money. Like, we know it's multiplayer of some sort, but, like, couldn't they have come out and said, we're making a shooter, we're making a horror game, we're making an RPG, we're making, like, just give us something to work off of here,
Yeah.
I mean, conceivably on paper, this is a cool-looking new studio. If their whole line about Sony being quality is correct, now, of course, some people have read into this meaning that somehow Xbox and Nintendo aren't quality, which I don't think was their purpose here. But, like, this is interesting. Sony could use a couple of multiplayer games. It's an interesting idea, but, like, I think we need a bit more to work off of here, for better or worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Back for Blood. We know this game's coming October the 12th, and we just saw. What do we see? A new creature, new something at the end. They showed us
a giant thing at the end. Yeah.
I think we've seen that. I'm sure we've seen that giant thing at the end before, and they're much more impressive. Anyway, August the 5th is when the beta's coming out to play, isn't it?
Oh, nice.
It's going to be great, this game. I mean, I was impressed from the last trailer. I thought it looked really fun. And it sold me a bit more. And it's, good pedigree. We know it's going to be good.
We'll see more on Sunday.
Yeah,
we're going to do a showcase on Sunday.
Yeah. Evil Dead 2021, that's coming out. I've got no interest in this, but other people might. It's like... Sorry, Winnie. Oh, we lost you all.
Hello?
No, good. That was a worrying moment. I thought I'd gone.
I'm here.
You lost us with Evil Dead.
So Evil Dead I mentioned is gone. William, what are you going to say?
I didn't mean to say anything. Sorry. I must have been picked up on camera. It's Evil Dead. Bruce Campbell. That's interesting. Not a huge affinity for the movies. Not a huge affinity for these sort of games, but it looks interesting.
It's a Friday the 13th type game, isn't it? It feels
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, Dead by Daylight. I think Dead by Daylight has even done a crossover with Evil Dead already.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So this just makes absolutely zero sense to me at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's 4v1 asynchronous multiplayer.
Yeah.
The exact same as what that is. And just really didn't make any sense that it's still going ahead at all.
No. I mean, these games are huge, they're huge on, if you go on Twitch or you go on any stream, these games are the biggest ones getting streamed all the time. They're massive games. So it makes sense
Why
for
would you
them
want
to
to compete with them then?
I don't know. I know. I'm with you on this.
Yeah, but like they're huge if you can break out, but the chance of success of breaking out is difficult,
But it's I suppose it's a big name, Evil Dead, isn't it? It's a big franchise name still. It has a kind of weight to it.
It is, but it's not quite on the level of Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, or
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Can I move on to the last thing, the big reveal, which was
What is it?
Which was Elden Ring, the new game. Yeah, it
Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I know none of you will be excited by this. No, William won't be. Richard, Richard will be excited by it. James won't be. It's coming. It's coming on January 21st, 2022, and there was a trailer with some gameplay in there. It's coming to next gen and current gen as well. what did you think, first of all, before I say anything? James, what did you think?
After watching the trailer, I was a little bit excited because although I'm not very good at games that From Software do, I think I could get into this one. So I'm a little bit excited. I'm also really annoyed that we all knew it was coming.
Right.
I wish it had been Twilight, because that would have made such a better reveal. Other than that, I'm excited.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I didn't realise it was going to be that soon. I thought it was going to be next year sometime. So that's quite. I mean, that's really soon. Really, it's not that far away. Richard, what was your thoughts?
I was a little bit excited. I think the enemy designs is typically From Software, and they just look absolutely terrifying and grotesque and awful. But at the same time, you really, really want to get up close and see just how awful looking they sort of are. I'm not sure exactly, based on that trailer, how much involvement George R.R. Martin really has with it.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
Because it's not, from what we saw, it's not really what he does.
Yeah.
But I mean, he should be busy working on a certain book anyway. That's what I would argue.
George, sort it out. Go and write your book. Mucking around with games. Yeah. William?
I'm absolutely delighted they showed it off because now people can shut up about it. I mean, I think it's the Souls-like that isn't necessarily a genre that I'm huge on, but it looks like it's probably going to be a high-quality game. I'm glad that people are happy about this. I'm also happy now, as someone who's been waiting for Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4 and Starfield and Shin Megami Tensei 5, that I never have to hear the words vaporware for a game that was revealed less than 2 years ago again. It exists.
Yeah.
It's coming soon. Everybody calm down. It's going to be good.
Yeah. I'm going to say only one thing, and I might get snagged down. It didn't look as good as the Demon's Souls remake.
No.
It didn't look as
No.
next gen as I don't know. It looked a bit. I mean, the creature design, everything else is great. All that stuff's great, and it has a nice sky. But it didn't look as impressive as that. But we saw a very kind of like very quick cut trailer. So it'd be good to see some actual gameplay to see that properly. But it's exciting. It's going to be an exciting time.
Do you think we'll see any gameplay this weekend now that we've got a release date for it?
Maybe, yeah. I think you might be right. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's a big game. They should show it off a bit more, shouldn't they? We'll probably see some more Overwatch 2 skins.
Oh, I'm looking forward to them.
I mean, overall, it was it's the weirdest, maddest thing, Southern Game Fest, but it was a good little refresher. There's some good reveals in there, wasn't there?
It could have been condensed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
I
about
enjoyed the
15
beginning
minutes.
and the end.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an okay show, but I think if this is the highlight of the E3 week, something's gone really wrong. But yeah,
this can't be
it was okay.
Please don't let
it was better than Gamescom last year. I'll say that. Not as good as Game Awards. So
yeah.
Fine.
I mean, we've missed out quite a lot of stuff as well. We missed out all sorts of stuff in there. Anything that I missed that you want to talk about in E3?
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah.
Tunic. We're getting a demo for that. We're getting some Xbox demos, so that's great. And then Caw Media. Caw Media. I think that's how they pronounce it.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, they have a new publisher alongside Deep Silver. Neil just did a big write up on them. He got to go to a press event, so that's cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richard, anything you want to have missed out?
I just briefly wanted to mention Metal Slug Tactics, which I loved playing as a kid, the Metal Slug game. So to see it have this bit of a revival, which I think is only coming to PC, which is annoying. But yeah, I really like the look of Metal Slug Tactics.
It would come to console, I think, eventually.
Hopefully.
Yeah. James,
Yeah,
sorry, William.
good.
Um,
Sorry, thought Emu were pretty good about bringing things to console.
Yeah. James, what have I missed? What have I missed out of all that?
You missed the WWE crossover.
I deliberately
with
missed
Dungeons and
that.
Dragons and the Moon. That was interesting. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that bit.
Yeah,
Very interested in the game.
Yeah.
But it's good to see Ember Moon.
Good. Anything else? No? Good.
Not
Right.
really.
Good. Now we're going to get to the point. Now we're going to be doing, as I said, we're going to be doing an Ubisoft in 2 days' time, and then we're going to be doing Xbox and Bethesda, and then Nintendo on the 15th. So let's talk about our predictions. So let's do one that we think we're going to see each, first of all, and then we're going to go around there once, and then we'll do our fantasy, what we want to hear from E3. James, what do you think we're gonna see?
I'm hoping we see some Forza Horizon action on Sunday for the Xbox conference. I don't know where they'll set it, but I'm sure it'll be somewhere just as good as the previous one, which was the UK one. So yeah, Forza Horizon.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be Forza Motorsport, which we know is coming?
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be that? That's going to be their focus rather than Horizon?
I think they might show both.
Really?
Yeah, but I think it would just be a teaser for Forza Horizon.
Okay.
I mean, Motorsport's definitely coming first.
And do you think that will come? Do you think Motorsport will come this year?
No, maybe early part of next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think it'll really show off how good the visuals. It'll show amazing visuals for Forza Motorsport.
Okay.
I'm going, wow.
From what I've heard, we will see Forza Horizon this year, the 5th one. I've heard, this is from Jeff Grubb and Jez Corden and all them industry insiders with great track records, and they've mentioned where it's set. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but supposedly Horizon is going to be this year and Motorsport next, and the reason why they're doing it that way is Horizon's going to be cross-gen. It's going to be built on the older Forza engine, and then Motorsport is going to be the first real next-gen only one that shows off all the power, and they're just going to have a really nice, fun Horizon for us that will look great.
And so sorry, William, are you saying Horizon's this year, you think?
Horizon's this year and Motorsport's next. That's what I've been hearing, which I'm surprised. I thought Motorsport would have been this year, but I mean, they're testing it. But
wow.
I guess it's very ambitious there. They're doing some really hard work at Toontown, so I guess if Horizons early is available, I mean, they've had 3 years between now and 8, which, it's been 3 years. So,
yeah.
Good.
Okay. William, what's what you're likely to see?
Okay. So we know that Starfield is going to be at the show. If you take a look at the image they released of the show, the top half of it are some Halo multiplayer spout-ins, and the bottom half is the planet from Starfield. And we've been waiting 3 years to see Starfield, and I'm just sitting back going, open the show, open the floodgates with Starfield. Here's Starfield, here's what it looks like, here's Todd Howard to whisper sweet little facts into our ears and play some Fleetwood Mac. We're going to have a really nice showing of Starfield. And I think because Halo has already opened 2 shows and closed 1, I think people are just going, yeah, it's Halo. We're expecting that, for the average person. But if you can just throw Starfield and go, this is the brand new exclusive next-gen role-playing game by the people who made Skyrim and Fallout 3 and 4 and Oblivion, like that would be amazing. It's time for Starfield.
Okay, now, do you think... Now, I'm going to ask you this now. Do you think we're not going to get Starfield this year? We're going to get it next year, do you think? Or do you think it's going to be this year?
Oh, God. Jason Schreier says it's next year. That said, Bethesda doesn't tend to show their games in a year that they aren't going to be releasing them. So it's... And the other thing is as well, Jason Schreier burned a lot of bridges with Bethesda after he leaked the whole Fallout 4 script. So I wouldn't put it against some angry employees going, let's mess with Schreier and give him some wrong information so we can discredit him, because he really hurt them a couple years ago. So we'll see. I'm hoping it's this year. If it's next year, it's next year. There's Halo.
Yeah. Good. So we've got Starfield, we've got Forza Horizon, and Richard, what have you got?
I put the we know Microsoft Flight Simulator is coming out for Xbox consoles this year.
Yeah,
but I think that's going to be the one that they'll show a brand new trailer for it, and then at the end it'll be available now on Xbox consoles. I think that's going to be the game.
That's a good shout, Richard. I think you're absolutely right. Or it might, at the latest, it might be August, but it'd be I think you're probably right.
It's coming very soon.
I think it'd be amazing if they did that. Yeah, now.
They showed it this morning to some press when they were giving interviews about Xbox. So I think we're going to see it. Now, a shadow drop would be so freaking cool. Just download Flight Sim right now and play it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need that. Xbox need that this year. They need something because they, like we just said, they've got Halo, and if this Forza Horizon would be good as well. They need Microsoft Flight Simulator, but maybe they need one more in there as well. So hopefully, it's a Starfield.
Yeah,
I'm hoping it might be Hellblade 2.
That would be so cool if true.
If they did true, I don't think it's going to happen, but I think I think we're going to see something from it.
Yeah.
But maybe it's the next year release. But that would be I think we're definitely going to see something there. But I do think they need something because I know PlayStation have, they've got Ratchet and Clank, which is getting fantastic reviews this year. They've got Deathloop coming out in September, and then they've probably got Horizon
this year maybe.
Yeah. I think it's probably that might be their thing. So I think Xbox needs something else, like you said, rather than because everyone's a bit to Halo, aren't they? And also,
it's such a shame that Sony bought up Deathloop because that could have been an Xbox exclusive. If ZeniMax just said we got to sell to Microsoft, maybe let's not sell Deathloop and Ghostwire off. Xbox would have a far better year.
Yeah,
but hindsight's always 20/20 here.
But what we're seeing, they've bought loads of studios. Yes. So I think we're gonna be some surprises. We'll find out. What's your outfield? What's your kind of wish list fantasy one, James?
Mine was a few days ago. I thought it would be good to see them announce another quite big studio acquisition.
Okay.
And I'm dreaming big here.
Yeah.
But I just first thing that came to mind that I was hoping for would be Sega.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. If anything, at least we might see some partnerships.
Yeah. Some
more Sega games.
It's your fantasy, James. Yeah. I'm not going to take it away from you.
And you're there too, though.
In Sega. just as a hedgehog. No, it's gone too far. It's gone too far. Good. William, what about you?
Yeah, I've heard of the acquisitions as well. I've heard anywhere from 1 to 4, so he was hoping it's on the higher end. But Sega would be so amazing, and it's been so long since they've been first party. They really would be a great studio for Xbox. That said, I am going back into Xbox's past, and one of their biggest games back circa 2003 was Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and if you played that recently, that game still holds up really well. It's a fantastic RPG, and it's probably, I'd go so far as to say, one of the top 3 Star Wars stories ever told. It's amazing. and supposedly there's a remake in development. And if they could show off some of that remake, have it close the show, maybe even exclusive like the Final Fantasy VII remake was to PlayStation, that could be a really big announcement. So
Yeah,
I would love to see a KOTOR remake. I hope these rumors are true. And if Xbox could get that on their stage, that would be amazing.
good. Richard, what's your fantasy?
It's a Final Fantasy fantasy.
Yeah.
So we know that there's going to be some Final Fantasy news during E3, whether it's related to 16 or this highly rumored Final Fantasy Origins. But I'm looking more for Xbox specific Final Fantasy announcements. So I know that a few years ago now, Phil Spencer was saying they were working on getting Final Fantasy 14 over to Xbox consoles, which is the MMO from Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that finally confirmed, and also maybe the 7 remake announced for Xbox finally, because I mean we know that these are coming at some point. The timed exclusivity for 7, I believe, is past now. So it would just be nice, and maybe even just chuck them into Game Pass.
Yeah.
It's not too much to ask for.
Yeah. Maybe part 2 might happen in 10 years.
Yeah, it'll get announced at C3 for next decade.
Yeah. Okay, good. I've got one, haven't I? I think Rockstar are going to announce something, and they don't normally do it at any E3 since 2006. But I think Rockstar have got something else that's not GTA 6. And I don't know what that is, but I think they have. I think they're going to say something. And the third-party developer, I think it'd be interesting. That's my fantasy. Or GTA 6 would be good. Well,
it's time. We've gone from like one Rockstar game a year to one a generation. It's time for some more.
I know. Gentlemen, thank you so much. That's our first show done. We're back on Saturday night for Ubisoft. It might be shorter. It might be shorter. It might just be Just Dance and Far Cry 4, 6, and that'll be it. Gentlemen, where can we find you, Fantasy? Where can we find you, James?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at OKidUKO.
Great. William, what about you?
I'm at Twitter at William J. Caruana.
Good. And Richard, what about you?
I'm on Twitter at Dobbo1912, and I'll also be signed for my PS5 in less than 2 hours with playing Ratchet & Clank.
Have you got it?
I've pre-ordered it. I'm desperate to play that game.
I've got to go and get it tomorrow morning.
I'm picking it up tomorrow morning. Yeah, right after my first shot. Second shot of the vaccine, and then right over to EB before this thing knocks me out.
Wow. Good.
Ratchet.
We're looking forward to that. And you can find me on GB Briley on Twitter and Twitch. But for now, thank you very much. First one. And thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.thexboxhub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub, and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.